Over the last 3 videos now, we've covered a couple different aspects that go into where do you stand when it comes to retirement planning. One of them was, I have no idea if I could retire. The other one was, I think I could retire. And in this video, we're going to cover that for those of you that fall into this category of, I know I can retire. So watch this video and find out what you should be asking yourself, even if you know you're ready to retire. Thank you for stopping by the Financial Beat YouTube channel. For those of you that this is your first time stopping by, I'm Logan Sadler. I'm actually a financial advisor. And in this video, I'm gonna really take you guys on a dive of those of you guys that are ready to retire. We'll find this kind of like checking your homework, making sure you've thought of everything you could think of, even though you know you're ready to retire, have done the proper planning, and kind of looking at the back end of what goes into a retirement plan. In this video, I really want to cover some of the more advanced planning, I would say, because a lot of the time it's really getting, when we're getting ready to retire or we're not sure if we could retire, we're getting things like, how much income am I going to need right now? How's my health care going to be covered, right? All those types of things. What tax bracket am I in? All those concepts we covered in those first 2 videos. We already got those out of the way. So if you haven't checked out those first 2, head over, check them out, as well as we have some other videos over there that I think you'll find insightful if you haven't already checked them out. And so basically, now that we've covered the building blocks, we'll call it, we'll move on to some more of the advanced planning. Those of you guys that are already retired or maybe already know what your retirement is going to look like, I'm going to ask you 5 things that you should be checking on when looking at your retirement. Number 1, have you ever considered what your future tax bracket might look like? And I ask that question because a lot of the people, again, me being a financial advisor, I know meeting with a lot of you that most of the time, a lot of our assets are in those tax deferred buckets. What that means is down the road, we have money we're going to withdraw that is all taxable, right? Or we have brokerage accounts that have capital gains taxes in them. One of the biggest things that we need to look out for is a lot of people's biggest concern is, I know what tax rate I'm in now. What happens if taxes go up? How is that going to affect my income coming in on my monthly basis now after tax picture, right? So it's something where a lot of what we do after we get a lot of this stuff situated as far as the basics of a retirement plan, we really have to look into how can we do some further tax planning to make sure that we're insulating ourselves from that tax rate risk of taxes going up in the future or potentially being in a higher tax bracket down the road. You have things like Roth conversions. We have videos, you guys should go check those out on how important those can be, potentially saving lots of money if done correctly, and utilizing tax brackets. You want to make sure you're doing that efficiently to make sure the Roth conversion makes sense and you're getting the most out of it. But those are something we really got to look at. You have cash value life insurance that could have some tax-free benefits to it, as well as some other tax advantage plannings like tax loss harvesting, stuff like that in your traditional brokerage account. So you want to make sure you've looked at, I know where I'm at now, but what happens if in 5 years or in 10 years, taxes take a huge shift, which let's be honest, a lot of us have that fear that with the way things are going, the money we've been giving away, that it's a pretty clear picture that tax rates have a really, really good chance of going up in the future. So how can we protect ourselves against that? Number 2 we want to look at is inflation, right? We have our income now, we've looked at taxes, but down the road, with times like that's happening right now, there's going to be times down the road that are higher inflationary periods than normal. Again, we're currently going through one of those this past few years where you look at inflation has been off the charts high compared to what the norm is. So if you're one of those retirees that's getting ready to retire, we don't know if in 5 years or in 10 years, we might go through another cycle like this, right? So you want to make sure you're planning for that. If your income's $100,000 a year right now, that may be great for you at this point of your life. But what happens if in a few years that is not sufficient? So you want to make sure in your income plan that you have different levels of income coming in that you can maybe increase at different levels. I know there's a bunch of different ways to do this. Maybe you throw in some extra dividend stocks, maybe you throw some different things in the market. There's also annuities that have lifetime income payments on them that can also increase over time as the performance of that account does well. They might be able to pay you out a higher amount. Maybe laddering different types of income streams is the way to do it. It really kind of depends on your situation, but those are some of the talks that we're having with our clients that are retired But we're worried about that down the road inflation protection, because it's something that a lot of people miss, is not planning for what do I need my income to be in 5 or 10 or 20 years of my retirement. Because again, that retirement plan could be 20 or 30 years long. So you want to make sure your income is sustainable, but also make sure it's enough to get you through each of those phases. Okay, so that is number 2. Number 3, you really want to look at how much does your income plan allow you to spend with confidence. I see so many people, where I covered actually in the first 2 videos of this, where sometimes we have these really unrealistic expectations of returns on our portfolio, and we know that we could spend, let's just say, 4 or 5% of our portfolio. So if we got $1 million, we know we could spend $40,000 a year and be good. But what if you wanted to spend a little bit more? Would you have the confidence to do that? Would you be able to do that? And what happens if your investments didn't perform nearly how you thought they would? Would you still be in a situation to be able to continue that income stream? We say spending with confidence is one thing that we're very big believers on. Depending on clients, you want to have things like Social Security. We know that check's coming in each month. We have things like pensions, where we know that check's coming in each month, as well as you want to throw in maybe some guaranteed products like some annuities or different type of income streams to make sure that you're having that income coming in that you know you can count on each month. And you'll be able to spend a little bit more, not carelessly, but you'll be able to spend more with confidence, knowing that, hey, I don't need a 10% return every year so I can enjoy my retirement. If the market does 3 or 4%, I might be okay, and I have other assets that are doing well as well. So, making sure you have a stabilized but diversified income stream, not just 1 or 2 things. You want to make sure you have 5, 6, maybe even 7 income streams with real estate and different types of asset classes like that. So making sure you're spending with confidence. What happens if you need long-term care? Those are some of the other big factors that a lot of us don't factor in. You want to make sure when you're looking at long-term care, you understand that down the road, there's a very high chance that one of us watching this video might have a very good chance of checking into some type of long-term care facility. I say it all the time on my radio show. I've had a lot of these clients where I've told examples of, I have clients right now that are spending over $100,000 a year on long-term care because they're having to be in a facility. They're, getting elderly. They have issues going on. They have some health concerns. So that could be one of the most expensive things coming. I've heard this several times from clients. And if this is you, again, not jabbing at you, but I know this is a lot of our thought process is, I'm going to spend a lot of money early in retirement because I know at the end of retirement, I'm not going to be spending as much, right? Sounds good on theory. The problem is if we do have to go into some type of long-term care facility or people got to start taking care of us, that typically might increase the cost. You're right. You're not going to Hawaii anymore. You're not going down to Mexico for the weekend. You're not going out to eat every day. You're saving money that way. But now we have a whole aspect that we didn't plan for called long-term care facilities, right? Or long-term care at home, where it gets very, very expensive. So you want to make sure somewhere in your retirement plan, we've covered, maybe we bought a policy to help insure, to make sure we're going to be okay to supplement some of that. Maybe we have assets out there we've positioned that we're not going to touch that until it's time for long-term care. However you decide to do it, you want to make sure that we've at least had the conversation and plan for that according to plan. The next big thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is legacy. A lot of us, I was talking to a lady the other day that came in, actually called into our radio show, and she was coming in, we were meeting with her, and it was really interesting. She felt kind of right in line with probably some of you guys watching the video, where you're really, you want to do well, you want to enjoy your retirement, but her most important thing was to leave a legacy behind to her daughter. Right? She's really, her and her daughter have a great relationship, has grandkids, really wants to see them do well. And she knows that she'll be okay. Her main goal is preserving all of this wealth that she had accumulated and being able to pass it on to her to leave a legacy, but also do so tax efficiently and to make sure things are set up properly to where it's not an issue for the daughter to be able to have access to that money when something does happen to mom, or access to any of the estate, right? So making sure trust, wills, beneficiaries listed, everything is set up correctly, but also we tie it back into tax planning. There's a lot of stuff we could do ahead of time if we have the time to make sure we're setting things up tax efficiently. A lot of us also, we call it the tax bomb, right? Those tax deferred accounts I was talking about earlier in this video. A lot of times leaving behind those tax deferred accounts might not be the best situation. especially for the beneficiaries if they're in a higher tax bracket. So you want to make sure you're crossing all your T's, dotting all your I's, and making sure that we have looked at all 5 of these, because they all 5 can tie together. And again, I actually have a lot of videos in the library here you could check out that actually go over some of these a little bit more individually. But this is some of those checklist items, I would say. Those are those 5 items that if you know you're ready for retirement and you feel you have a solid plan, you really want to make sure that you've checked off these 5 that might have been down the road that you might have thought about getting to at some point, or maybe it's one of your bigger concerns while planning originally for retirement. You need to make sure you cover that. Make sure you're in a good situation where you've covered all 5 of those. And hopefully this helps give you guys, the viewers, a little bit more education, a little more confidence in how to get that retirement plan going, even though you already know in this video you were eligible to retire, able to retire successfully. So again, thank you for stopping by, and guess what, guys? We'll see you back here next week. And again, if you haven't, go ahead and check out some of our other videos. Talk to you soon.